For us, it's Friday, but we are now releasing on Monday. So this is coming out
Yeah,
at the beginning of the week.
big weekend release.
Yeah. So, and Trent is going to be alone all week long. Are you ready for this? To
Yes,
be a loner?
it's going to be a lot of walking the dogs. We spend a lot of time outside. And maybe some weeknight golf sessions. Maybe.
Are you going to go to the not the range.
I might go to the range.
The go play
Our
9 holes
little,
by yourself?
yeah, twilight session.
We
Get
did.
that
When
discount.
was that? Was that this past Sunday, right? We played our first
Yeah,
9 holes together and it went.
it didn't go very well. I did not.
We tried though.
You actually did really well. Um,
Considering.
yeah, I
But,
thought you did pretty
it
well.
was.
Yeah, but we didn't go to the highest quality course. Could definitely tell that, but
But we weren't going for high quality. We were just going to unbusy was one of my things because I didn't want to like embarrass the world around me
yeah,
with
no,
my
I think
golf
we
skills. Or make anyone mad because they're like, you're not doing very good. And I'll be like, I'm trying. Okay, just let me live my life.
they fill up the course. So I mean, we were there
Yeah, by the
early, and
end,
there
it was
was
popping.
everyone. But it was a lot of fun. I'm excited to go back. Gonna do a lot better. Um, I think,
We can go nowhere but up.
yeah. But I know, like, gosh, I've looked at all the courses, and like my algorithm is now telling me about initiation fees at country clubs
I
and
know I sent you
everything.
that one video this
Yeah,
morning where it was like initiation fees around $126,000 and it's about $2,000 a month, and I was like, well, that one's gonna
that's
have to
yeah,
be it's gonna have to be down the line
yeah.
a
I
ways.
think that was like San Francisco or something. So
That's
that's
nuts. Could not be me.
we'll get there one day. Maybe at like a local place.
Yeah. The over 20K initiation fee I think would be a lot to I mean, unless, down the road we're very wealthy, then by all means, like, ball out. But at this moment, not going to be happening.
There's like so many other like better investments that you could do.
I mean, but if you're just
Yeah,
balling,
yeah, that's
if you
true.
just got, like, stacks of cash, then
You get that country club membership.
yeah, no problem. Or if it's like, you're going to be in the same area for, like, your whole life, and, like, the monthly fee's not very high, the initiation fee's high, then, like, that would make sense too, because
Yeah, that'd actually be kind of nice. But
then you pay it once and then you're good to go for the rest of forever.
yeah,
But so I kind of gave you a little pre-warning on our topic today because I'm so nice. But I guess where I want to start with this is I was reading something and they were saying like one of the lessons they've learned is the energy you put out is the energy you attract or whatever that saying is. And I've always been self-conscious of how I interact with people because one, I think I'm not a very interesting person. And two, I never know how to carry a conversation. Like I always give myself terrible ratings in that aspect cuz like once a conversation is like extremely boring, I really struggle to come up with the next great question or like what am I supposed to talk about? Like is this too personal or whatever?
I wouldn't say you're not an interesting person. I just think that when you're like talking to like strangers or someone like you don't like to like fully like express yourself when you're doing it, or it's like, oh, they're not going to care about this, or and he like like you remember in like Shrek where He says onions have layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have lots of layers.
Yeah. Well, and I am always like, I don't ever want to come off as braggy either. Because, like, oh, let's talk about, let's say, like, running. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
and
want
I
to.
mean, like most people do not have an interest in running.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to bore the person to death either. But I was listening to someone else, their post on their story, and they were just talking about how they just, like, randomly brought up they just kind of randomly bring up things to talk to people about. And that could not be me. Like, I'm not just going to go up to someone and be like, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich the other day, even though I hate them, and you know what? I still hate them. Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't want to bother that person. But anywho,
Yeah.
back to the energy. What are do you think that's true? Like that the energy that you're putting out is the energy that you're attracting.
I definitely think so. Like if you're not, I think people want to match their energy. So if you just are not clicking with people, like you're going to feel it and they're going to feel it. And you guys just aren't going to be like the best of friends.
So what's the energy? Because I think you're better at like having a more natural conversation with people. What's the energy you kind of feel like you have when you walk into a room?
I don't know if I'm like putting off an energy, but I think I'm maybe more willing to match someone else's.
So you're like a mirror. Like you're going to match someone.
Yes. And
I would agree with that because like when you do go into a room, you're not one that's going to like walk into a room screaming like those people.
oh gosh, like obnoxious
Yeah, just like
entrances and stuff.
that's not you. But like if someone and you don't usually have like that like I guess bubbliness. I don't know. If that's a good word to use. But when someone starts talking to you, you'll bring energy and passion to the conversation. So yeah, I do think that's true for you. Now, how do you think I walk into a room?
I think you're just a little bit more reluctant to maybe open up to people. So you'll be like almost like a sunflower seed shell that needs to be cracked open by somebody. Like yeah. But like, you know, you don't put yourself in the center of like the room or
Yeah, I like to be the wallflower. I think that's the saying that's like popular, you know, like you be a wallflower.
but like once you get like people talking, it's like not that hard. I know like when I first went to college, I didn't really know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, I was like the only person I knew going up there. So like that first like couple months, like no one really knew each other. So it was just like I would go up to random
And
tables.
they wanted friends, so it was like,
Well, I mean, maybe I was like, hey, can I sit down and eat lunch with you guys? And then just kind of like soak it in, maybe learn a name.
you're
And
really
then-
good with names.
Yeah. Well, if you remember someone's name, then they're always just like, oh my gosh, that guy remembered my name.
Yeah. I'm not good with names at all. Just not good. Just not good. I think I get so like nervous about the conversation that like their name is the least of my worries.
But I mean, I guess I don't really struggle with it. But just putting yourself in that position, usually both people just want to be, you know, most people are like inherently like nice or friendly or you can get along. Now, when you run into the occasional people that you're just like, wow, we just do not click, then it's like, It's rough.
Said event for
Oh
us where
yeah,
we
that's
met a
probably our
couple.
last like big social event. Just,
That was just rough.
but I know like some people like actually practice or they have a like set of kind of like I guess questions that they have that they can ask.
I think that's
So
what I
like
need.
they have prepared for like the awkwardness of maybe you
Because I don't like the standard questions like, where are you from? What do you do? Like, I need to come up with like two or three like good, interesting questions. Because I think if I had those in my back pocket, I wouldn't be so nervous because I'd be like, okay, like most people can carry, if I ask this question, can carry this question.
yeah.
It's a nice probing question to a bunch of different things.
I don't like the question like what do you do because people default to
Their job.
oh yeah, I am a student at this or like I work at
I'm an accountant.
or like
Nice.
yeah. But then it's like, oh yeah, what do you do? And then it's like, okay, like I'm a creative painting person and oh, I'm an accountant. Like you just
Yeah.
instantly but instead of like asking like what do you like to do, it opens up where like someone doesn't have to talk about their job. Because I
Yeah.
don't to me most people like aren't like in love with their job or all the time. Like,
Hmm.
as soon as like it's 5:30 on a Friday, they're like,
All right,
all right, let's
weekend.
go. Let's go to the pool or, let's go play golf or whatever they want to do. Or um, maybe they're like really into like graphic design. They spend all their time doing that. Or they have a side hustle they're really passionate about and they're trying to make that work. But then they have like a job that they're just like, let's
bringing
just
in
get through
the
it.
bringing in the money with. Because I was listening to Dak Shepard's podcast and they had Shonda Rhimes on, and she was talking about how she used to be extremely shy. And she talks about this in her book, The Year of Yes or something like that, where
You
she
read that
just
like what last year, 2 years ago?
I think I read it in Augusta, so that must have been last year, right?
You really enjoyed it.
2
I
years.
remember that.
Yeah. And just like how she just started saying yes to things and how it really opened up her kind of ability to step into a social situation and not have so much fear and just like a self acceptance sort of thing going on. And I was like, well, what could I do to put myself? And as you know, I'm just not good at like saying yes. Like, I love a good excuse, which usually defaults to our dogs, which is why I got a dog. So I didn't have to be social. It's like, hey, you want to come out tonight? Oh, I would love to, but my dog needs to go on a walk. You would just. And I think that's why I also like to work out, because that's also an excuse. Like, oh, yeah, but I haven't worked out today. Which some people would be like, that's a really stupid excuse.
Yeah, most people would just like, oh,
But to me,
I'll
it's
work
like,
out
it's
tomorrow.
valid enough that you can make it work. But, okay, so what can I do to put myself in those uncomfortable situations and put off, I guess, the energy needed to, like, I guess it's like working on the energy I'm putting out into the world in those situations and practicing that. And kind of like how you said, like having a few go-to questions to where instead of walking into a room like, I guess, kind of timid and just like thinking about every single conversation I could potentially have and, kind of like planning the conversations, just knowing that I have these questions, like, okay. And that's something I really want to work on. And I know I said I was going to do that this year. And
But
then we think we might move.
but next year,
Yeah. And I just need to I need to pick an area, stay in an area for like a long period of time where I feel forced, where I guess I can see progress in like those social situations. Like, oh, wow, this is like rewarding. Because I think if you do something a lot of times and you're not seeing a lot of progress or reward, then it's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to do
What's
this
the
anymore.
point?
Yeah.
I think just getting there, like even like, cause like where you were talking, like no one's even gonna remember your name for the most part,
Yeah.
in like almost anything, and like if they do, like, but if you're actually like pretty like vulnerable or like open with them, not even like that, but like, if you have a fun fact that isn't like, oh gosh, did you have to do that in
And
college?
there's that quote that's like, people aren't going to remember what you said or what you did, or they'll remember how you made them feel. And I think that's really true. Like, people, if you made them feel just kind of like, this is maybe not the best way, but like warm and fuzzy, like you're not like, wow, this really sucks to talk to you. Because like the last social experience we went to, I think both of our reactions coming out of it was like, wow, that was just not a ton of fun. Like 0 out of 10, kind of like that was.
I mean, I actually had a good time, other than just like the people we met. That one specific people, like,
Yes.
but
But that kind of turns me off, which is not good. I
that
know
was like
there's
at the
like
very start, and like you had like checked out. You're like, oh, it's getting late.
wow, you'd never believe, like, can we
Um,
like make a bathroom stop and head out, or
but yeah, someone's might remember you as like, oh, that's Shannon. Like she just ran a marathon instead of just like, that's that person.
yeah. But I
Whatever.
like watching people, like when we've met someone together and then like we meet them a couple weeks later or something and you remember their name, like the shock on their face.
That's always really funny.
It's just always just like, you remembered our name. And you're like, yeah, I did.
But like a lot of like like even when we go out to eat, like sometimes we'll just be like listening to people.
Oh
And like
yeah, it's like
I
my
like
favorite
that.
thing.
Um,
Maybe that's also why I struggle, because I just want to like observe and just listen to what everyone else is saying. Because I think it's really interesting. Like, what is everyone else interested in?
or arguing about.
Or
Dude,
arguing
yeah, I
about.
don't. We were somewhere and there was just like a full blown like shouting argument, and it was great. Loved it.
I could not do that. I could not air out. Like, I could not. One, we don't even yell, like, in our place. But let's say we live on a secluded farm. I still don't think I'd have a yelling match with you. Like,
Yeah,
it just, like, to me, would stress me out more. I don't think it would, like, help me, like, relieve any sort of
anger.
anger. No. Do you ever yell? I mean, you've never yelled at me.
I've probably yelled at video games.
Yeah, and you've kind of got mad at the Giants, but you're not, like, yelling. You're not, like, at the top of your lungs, just, like, screaming.
Yeah, I think you got upset at me in last playoff game. But
Did you? I don't think you yelled, though. You get really, like,
I was definitely upset.
yeah, you get silently agitated. In that agitation, I become the target, it feels like. Because if I say something, you're like, and I'm like, calm down.
I think I definitely let my mood affect. It runs into like other things
Yeah.
that we're doing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you just want to kind of work on being like, being able to like absorb information, or
Just more like having a more positive energy when I'm going to a social setting. And off that, being able to walk into a social situation, my tummy's growling, I'm hungry.
yeah.
Being able to walk into a social situation calm. Like, I think that would be a life-changing experience where it's not like me panicking that I have to, or like trying to give myself an out, where I could just like go and feel relaxed and not feel stressed at any social situation.
Yeah.
And that might be like 10 years down the road, but we're gonna slowly work at it. I've slowly started working at it. It's going to take a while, but we're working.
I think it just takes a little bit too, and then you'll get more comfortable.
Yeah.
But
Maybe that's why I need to do like an outdoor activity group where we're like doing something.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
But
I've
I
been
think,
seeing a lot of people on my Instagram. They're going rock climbing.
yeah, I probably change your
Looks
algorithm for you.
pretty scary, but
Yeah. Especially like the solo climbing and all that. Ooh.
like finding events where you just don't have to like go to a bar
And just sit and chat. Because
or
I don't see myself ever being that person that's just like, let me, like, we're sitting together on a bus or a plane. Like, I'm just not gonna talk to you. I'm gonna read my book.
gosh,
And
yeah.
that's,
Where we were at like a coffee shop somewhere, and some like person came up to us
I don't remember.
briefly. It was real quick. I think
No,
we
I
laughed,
was,
but
something that comes to my mind is that time, it was the first plane ride we took together.
yeah,
And that lady started just talking in depth about her birthing experience.
I think I definitely had headphones in, but it sounds like I missed out on some fun
No,
conversation.
you were, because we talked about it afterwards.
Was okay. There was like two moms with like children sitting.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and they were like 2 rows in front of us, and the mom comes up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, of course you can sit with us. Like our babies can." And then she just gave like the life in depth story of the child's birth, like so in depth. And I just was like, I don't think I could ever just be like, "Here's how
hi,
this
random
went."
stranger. Yeah,
I was just like, wow. Like, it was interesting to listen to, but I was like, that takes a lot, as they say, vulnerability to just,
they really connected over being new moms.
yeah, the other lady didn't seem like super interested, but, you know,
I don't blame her.
yeah. Yeah, you're probably just like, dude, I'm just trying to get my kid to whatever spot I'm trying to get them to. Kind of funny. Okay, well, Trent, are you ready for your week alone? That's how we started the podcast.
I guess so.
You can edit the podcast and have a beer. Except we don't have any beer. We don't even
We
have
can
any
go buy
vodka
some.
anymore.
We've been on the kombucha kick.
That's been a me.
I feel like I'm starting to enjoy them.
So we can convert to kombucha instead of beer.
Well, I think they're for different moments.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us, and come back next Monday.